Well, hello and welcome to day 5 of the training. There we go, 4 days down, last day. And on this last day, we're going to be talking about building a life-changing brand. One of the cornerstones of selling products on Amazon is the importance of building your brand. The brand is going to become your most valuable asset, one that can provide cash flow for many years to come, or be sold to investors for a life-changing amount of money. But if building a brand sounds overwhelming, don't let it be. It all starts with just one product, and that, after all, is everything that we've been covering over the last 4 days. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what a brand is, the 3 types of products that you should create when building your brand, and why it's always a great idea to have in mind a possible second and third product when you select your first product to launch. So, before we talk about what a brand actually is, let's first talk about what the goal of selling on Amazon is. And that is to build your own profitable brand of physical products. Not just one single product, which is still great and can quickly grow into a big seller, providing substantial revenue, but your aim should be to build a brand, because a brand is more likely to generate more than enough cash flow for you to live off, and ultimately also turn into an asset that you could sell for millions of dollars later on down the road. Now, what is a brand? Well, my definition of a brand might be a little different than what you would find in a Google search, but it is simply a collection of products under a single brand name that can be preferably sold to the same type of customers. So, to make it clear, let's start off with a couple of examples. And the first one could be a camping brand. And that could start off with an axe, like this one that we have here. Then perhaps getting into the minds of campers, you'd be able to add a sleeping bag, like this one. And then finally, still with the camping brand in mind, you could add something like these wristbands, which are much more expensive and incorporate things like compasses and 1 or 2 other little tools within them. Another example could perhaps be a baby brand that starts out with a baby car seat. And then you could follow that up perhaps with a bunting bag, which is a little warm wrap to put around your baby in the stroller. And then maybe add as a third product your own brand of baby wipes, but marketed in a really nice container. Then as a third example, how about a gardening brand that starts out with these gardening shears, which could then lead on to maybe a garden lantern, a solar lantern. And then maybe add some windowsill garden pots as well. There'd be no end to the variety of pots that you could offer. Each of these is an example of just a few products that could each be sold to the same type of customer. Now, why is building a brand important? Well, think about these stats from marketing. First, the likelihood of a new customer that sees your product and ends up buying it is only between 5 and 20%. Now, that's pretty average for all types of retail. But with the billions of Amazon customers each year, that amounts to a ton of sales for that product all the same. Now, with this training, you should definitely get between 10 and 20%, maybe even a little higher. But this is, on average, what percentage of new customers will buy your product when they see it. However, the likelihood of one of your existing customers buying another of your products jumps to 60 or 70%, an incredible increase on the odds of them buying your product. Now, you still have to get your product in front of them, of course. It's not as easy as that. But as you can see, getting an existing base of customers to buy more by launching a brand of products is incredibly valuable for your business. There are 3 types of products that you should build into your brand. The first is going to be your starter product, and that's exactly why we call it that. It's one you want to start off with. And the starter product is one that will have plenty of room for a new seller to enter the market. It should have low startup costs, but it should still have good profit potential. All the things that we've been covering in the last 4 days. Now, After your starter product is going, then you can launch what we call the growth product. It's a little more competitive, but it also comes with more profit opportunity. But there should still be room for new sellers to enter as well. And then after that, the next product we call your dream product. They can be very competitive and also be more expensive because you'll have the profits from your first two products in order to help fund the final product purchases. But with those expenses and competition also comes significant profit opportunity. Now, for the sake of this training, we've focused on your starter product because that's where your entire brand starts, and it's a lot easier to add your growth and dream products once you have a successful starter product up and selling. So we covered the first product selection criteria on day 3, but let's take a refresher look, and then we'll go through the growth and dream criteria as well. So for the starter product, we want it to be priced between $17 and $100. That's the sweet spot because anything that's priced too little makes it hard to get enough profit, and anything that's priced too high makes it hard to afford the inventory. We want to make sure that in that product there are no competitors that have a bestseller rank or BSR less than 100, because that would be an indicator that the product has a lot of competition in it. And speaking of competition, we also want to make sure that the top 10 competitors that you're going up against don't have an overwhelming number of reviews for you to compete with as a brand new seller. And the way that we're going to determine that is we're going to look for an adjusted average number of reviews from the top 10 competitors to be less than 2,000. And if you're wondering what an adjusted average number of reviews means, it's simply that we're going to take the top most reviewed product out of the top 10. And the reason for that is because if there's one of the top 10 sellers that is just blowing by everybody else with reviews, they have maybe 3, 5, 10 times as many reviews as the other 9 of the top 10, then simply remove that product from your average number of reviews. It's not something you should really be afraid of. We can compete against one seller easily, even a top seller. It's more if all 10 of the top 10 competitors have thousands and thousands of reviews, that would be a product that we want to avoid. So to make sure that we're adjusting in the event that one of the top sellers is really raising that average up too much, we're going to simply remove the top reviewed product out of the 10 and then use that average. We also want to make sure that there are 3 or more competitors that meet the following criteria. They're each selling over $5,000 a month. They each have less than 500 reviews, and they should be selling for longer than 60 days. And the reason for that is because if someone comes out and launches a brand, like you will be doing, a new product in the past week or two, they can meet all this criteria very easily, but they don't really have any history to prove that this is a good product. Yet, because they're just launching the product and getting a bunch of sales, they could get there. So we want to make sure that we're looking at 3 competitors that have been selling for at least 2 months. Now, you also want to find one more competitor that is selling $10,000 per month with less than 900 reviews and has also been selling for 60 days or more. By having these 2 levels of competition, 3 sellers doing at least $5,000 a month and another seller doing at least $10,000 a month, that tells us that this current product has room for you to grow and scale over time, just like your competitors are doing. Next, let's take a look at what we should be looking for in the way of criteria for your second product. Just like product number 1, it should be priced between $17 and $100. Make sure that there's 2 competitors then that match the following. They're selling at least $10,000 a month, they have less than 900 reviews, and they've been selling for longer than 60 days. Lastly, you get to the final product, the third one. This is the dream product. It's the product that will sell at a really solid price and make substantial profits. You want to be priced more than $17, but that upper limit of $100 is no longer applicable, because at this point you'll have much more capital from the profits of your first 2 products to make it possible to select a more expensive item. The higher the sales price of this dream product, the more profit you make on each sale. This product should have 2 or more competitors, and they need to meet the following. They're selling at least $50,000 a month, and for reviews, well, we don't really care anymore. Now, of course, the less reviews, the better, but when you're at this point and you're adding your dream product and you already have 2 other successful products selling brilliantly, well, you can afford to go for something more competitive, and reviews shouldn't really be an issue. You still want to make sure that they've been selling for at least 60 days, so you know that that's not a product that's only just been launched. So let's take a look at an example brand timeline. Yours won't match this, not necessarily. It could be quicker, it could be slower, but this is an example. So from launch of your startup product, the goal would be to launch the second product between 3 and 6 months later, and then add the dream product 6 to 9 months from startup. Then the entire goal by the end of this is to have a brand of 3 products generating $100,000 a month or more in revenue, which would mean that you have a brand selling well over $1 million per year. Now, even though we're talking about eventually launching 3 different products for your brand, keep in mind that your brand all starts with just 1 product, and that is your starter product. And one thing that successful third-party sellers have all learned is that you never want to launch your first product without at least having your next product already in mind. That way you don't end up with just 1 product, which can do very well, but doesn't have the potential to turn into a brand. So if you follow this training and have in mind your growth and your dream products, then when your first product is doing well enough, you already know that you can launch a second and then a third product to turn your brand into that life-changing business. So now's time for a quick recap of what we just covered. A brand is simply a collection of products that can be sold to the same or similar customers. Your first brand should start with a starter product and expand with a growth product, followed eventually by your dream product. And finally, before you launch your first product, you should always have your second and third products in mind, even if they might change at a later date. So let's recap the goal for selling physical products on Amazon. The end game aim is to build your own profitable brand of physical products. Start with your first product, which will grow into a big seller, providing substantial revenue. Add a second product to your brand, and remember that your customer base from the first product will be willing buyers for the second product. Finally, you add the big profit third product, and then go on to generate more than enough cash flow for you to live off, and ultimately also turn into an asset that you could sell for millions of dollars later on down the road. So that's it. That ends our 5 days of training. Thanks for sticking with it to the end, and I hope you will now see just how life-changing the opportunities are selling on Amazon. These 5 days have revealed secrets that very few people know and will give you a massive advantage as you start your new Amazon business. Take action and build your $100,000 per month business now, and you can be the next super successful brand sold to investors for millions of dollars. Good luck to you all, and keep your eye out for a next post from me where I have got a stunning offer for a select number of members of this group. We'll look forward to speaking to you then. Bye-bye.